So this is the wiki or the handbook that when you open up, when you boot into the KDE Live environment, you'll see the handbooks right here. You double click it and this is what it'll open. So I went through and made my own notes, and that's what I'm going to go through. But the first thing it talks about is choosing your architecture, and this is AMD 64. And you'll see right here, first thing really is configuring your network. Now, I have never, originally I did do all of this stuff, and it just really caused me problems in the end. For instance, I was getting, when it would boot up, it would give me errors saying that certain items weren't found. So I had to look them up and find them and discontinue them. And, you know, I'm online right now. You can see I'm on network, and I'm going to install Network Manager and enable that. And so far, that seems to have taken care of all of it. Now on the right here, you'll see it's highlighted configuring the network, and then the next category is preparing disk. So you don't have to scroll all the way through to get what you want. So I'm going to go ahead and just actually close this out because I've made my notes here. So the first thing I always do is do the disk. In order to do the disk, I'll need to create, I've already created a password. And there we go. So I'm going to run the CF disk with the -Z using GPT table. First one here, they recommend 1 GB, and that's what I'm going to give it for the UEFI boot system or partition. Select it all the way at the top there, the new. And I'm going to give it 8 GB of swap. Type is up arrow 1, enter. And then I'm going to give the rest of it, which is 289 gigs thereabouts, to the root partition. Write this out, type in yes, and quit. And clear the screen. We should see 3 SDA partitions, and there they are. So now we got to format them. SDA1 is going to be formatted to FAT32. SDA2 is going to be swapped. Turn the swap on. And file system that I select is Ext4. Got all sorts of options here. Btrfs, Xfce, all kind of options. Alright, so next we're going to mount the partition, mount the root partition. Make a directory first. Now let's mount that partition, the root partition, to the directory we just created. We'll clear the screen. We're going to CD into mount Gentoo. Alright, so now it's time to get our tarball, and this is what I do. I'm going to type in links. To display menu, press escape or click on the top line in the window, select help manual and menu for user's manual. I'm going to select OK. Now you could go up here and click, I think, and you got view, downloads. I'm going to go ahead and just click on that. There is none. So I'm going to go to a link by typing in G. And then the link I want to go to is Gentoo. We'll go down and find downloads, highlight it, and press enter. When that loads, we'll go down and find the stage 3 tarball that I want, which is the first one, OpenRC. It's just a basic layout. Here you got the same thing with System D. This one, I'm going to select stage 3 desktop profile. I'm going to press enter. And it's going to ask me, do I want to save it? And I'm going to say yep. And then it's going to give it a name, and I'm going to say OK, tab to OK. When this is through, I can close out of links. Alright, I'm going to press Q, say yes, I want to quit. Now we got to unwrap that Powerball, but let's ls make sure it's there. And here's the command. And this usually won't take too long. Now the date, the time is wrong, so I'm going to adjust that right now when I get through here. I can see it says it's 2:39 in the afternoon, and it's 8:39. Which you need to do that before you run WebRSync. I'm surprised it's not right. It usually is. It must be off in the BIOS. That's possible. Alright, so I'm going to clear the screen. I'm going to type in date, and it'll say 2:40 in the afternoon, so that's not right. So the first thing is the date, and let's see, it's month, day, hour, year. So month is 11/07/08/40/2023. Alright, now if I run date again, there we go, 8:40, and this changed down here as well. Alright, so that's right. Now I'm going to run a WebRSync. And hopefully be in Ethernet. Now, they don't tell you in the handbook, but now's the time to go ahead and edit the make.conf file. So as soon as this gets through, that's what we're going to do. And I need to run a command to find out what goes here under make ops. Let me look at the news first. And actually, I would recommend, I'm not going to do it here, but I would recommend that you read through these. They're nice enough to give you stuff, and a lot of it is very pertinent. So let me run nproc. And that come back with a 4, so that tells me make ops is J4. So let's go ahead and go into that. We'll create that folder in the right spot. Let's enter -March equals native space. Don't leave, make sure you put that space in there. If you don't, you'll return errors. So let's see here. Features, we're going to go with features first. Whoops. I use flags. Then make ops. Accept license. Okay, so this is Optiplex790. So for the video card, it's using AMD GPU Radeon as well. So that's what we're going to put in here under video cards. Actually, I think I could get away with just putting Radeon. And then the libvirt input device is lib input. Okay, so I think that's good for now. I should have run the lspci command, and I still can. Let me get out of here. Control O, enter, Control X. Let me run that just to see. Make sure. AMD Radeon. I'm going to go back and change that. If it was a newer card, I would say okay, but I'm going to change this to just plain Radeon. Control O to write it out, enter, confirm, Control X, get out of there. Now at this time we can go back up here and we can run eSync. I believe that's what I want to do next. Let that run quiet. And we're going to select our mirror select. This might take just a minute here on the sync. I'm going to stop the video. Okay, so that didn't take too long, a couple minutes. So we got to select our mirrors now. And I'm going to page all the way down to the US stuff. And I usually only select about 3, and I always use HTTPS. So that's probably good. Press enter. Now that should be in our make.conf file now. 3 mirrors. Alright, so mounting the file systems. Now you could do this one at a time, but I put them together with the and in between the 2 commands. And so far that has worked, so that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, so I didn't get any grief, so now it's time to Chroot. Change root. I'm going to source Xfce the profile. It should pick up any changes in the make.conf file. And now we're on the, here's where I would run the deep world, and this is going to take a minute. In fact, did I run eSync? I run sync. So let's run this eSync, or just sync first. They recommend you don't do this but once a day maybe. Now this is going to take a minute because it's going to go through the tarball that we extracted and look, and it's syncing everything from Portage database to the computer now. So I'm going to stop the video. It's verifying. It's almost through. Might just wait. Can always cut it. This next one I believe is going to take a minute though, so I will stop the video there. It's verifying the bits. Unverified download quarantine. Valid open PGP signature. Alright, let's read the news first. And like I said, I recommend you do this. You know, even if you just glance through it or copy it and paste it. So now let's run an update. I'm going to Control L to clear the screen, Control Shift V to paste that command in there. Now this one will take a minute, and it's going to ask me to proceed. I usually like to run this quiet mode, which you'll see later on when we start installing software. So 16 packages, 2 upgrades, 1 new, 13 reinstalls. So we're going to say yes and let it take off. And I'll be back. I hope we can read that. At just about every end of every stage, you'll see it often regenerating the cache. Xfce4, which is a script cache. Pretty neat stuff. Okay, so we're installing curl right at the end of it here. This was the command that we run last. Do not forget to set your password for the root account. Anytime after we Chroot over, you can set your password for the root account. Again, do not forget that. It'll cause you to have to boot back into the ISO and then Chroot over, make a directory, mount the directory, and Chroot back over, and then set a password and reboot. Ask me how I know that. Password that we set to start with was on the other environment. This one here will be on the actual installation. Regenerating the cache. We got no news. Everything's okay. So PASSWD for root. There. Clear the screen. Preparing for the bootloader. Make directory. Boot EF, or just /EFI. And we're going to mount it. And it says here run WebRSync. I'm going to go ahead and run that again. If there's nothing to do, yep, timestamps, snap. It's too soon, you have to do something else. We have to continue here. So profile list, this was done when we selected our tarball, but just to see here, number 5 is the one that's default. So I'm going to go ahead and just select number 5. And nothing will change. Now we're going to update the source and the Xfce the source profile. Now we're going to install some CPU ID 2 CPU flags. Notice it says quiet. Let me Control L to clear the screen, Control Shift B to paste that in there. Now, instead of seeing all of the build operation, all we'll see is when they complete. This says emerging 1 of 1. So we'll let it run. Usually doesn't take too long. We'll see these CPU ID flags here in a second. We'll cat out the package use directory. And you'll see all the available CPU flags that it's reading. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this is reading it for your CPU. Same here. Reading it for this CPU. Alright. Now, let's put that over in our folder where it belongs. Bring that up arrow, bring that back, go all the way back to the middle there. Let's cat that out. And there it is with all the flags, AVX and MMX, etc. Okay, so let's tell it where we're at. For me, it's America, Chicago. That will tell it to emerge the time data. We're going to select our locale. We'll select English US. Control O to write it out, enter to confirm, Control X to get out of there, Control L to clear the screen. Now run locale gen so we can set up our locality. And Here I'm going to select number 6. Number 7 was set by default. There we go. Run Xfce profile again. Reload the environment. You could just source profile, but I do it all here. I don't see where it hurts anything, and I see the book does it a lot. So now it's time to get some software, and you can do these one at a time, or you can do them like I'm fixing to show you. And get them all at once. So Linux firmware. I'm going to get the binary kernel. We'll go ahead and get the Gentoo kernel sources. PCI utils. And numlock X. Alright, so I'm going to hit enter here. And we're off to the races. Okay, so this is going to take a little while here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 packages. Some of them fairly large. So I'm going to stop the video and I'll be back. So I'm just making a little side note to myself here. When it installs the Intel microcode, it's at a message that says it's unable to find the kernel source at user source Linux. And so it attempts to use whatever running the version is at that point. So it's probably to my benefit to swap these two around and let it install the kernel first and then the microcode. Okay, it's through immersion and it's actually installing numlock X. And with numlock X, I'm going to add that to the default run level. That's one of the things that drives me more crazy than her long blonde hair ever did. Numlock. When you run in quiet mode like this, you can see the stages that it goes through, but not all the building. Here it's recommending additional packages for optional runtime features. Some of that I'm going to get ButterFS progs, NFS utils I don't think I'll need, but some of that I'll get. Come on, numlock. Alright, so let me Control L to clear that screen. Control Shift V to add that to the default run level. There we go. Alright. So this might be an unnecessary step, but I have failed enough to know that I'm gonna do it anyway, just like I did the desktop. Here you see the default was number 2, and that's the one I'm gonna tell it to use. Now we're gonna confirm our kernel. This is where it says it's gonna be. And there it is, right there. So now I'm going to create a link. Did that wrong. There, create a link to that kernel so that there's no doubt it's there. Now I'm going to CD up twice. Now I'm back where I need to be. We'll go ahead and reload the environment. There we go. Alright, Xfce4 tab. Scroll down to the bottom, get a little room there. I'm going to copy this entire section, including the CDR or CD-ROM drive. Control-Shift-V. There we go. Control-O, enter, Control-X. Now let's set a host name. Now this is the small form factor 790. You just put over what you want in yours for a host name. Password root, I wanted to make sure. I'm not going to do it. I know I have. Now we're going to edit the hosts file, plural. We'll go down here. Oops. 790 period. And that's all I need to do. Control O, enter, Control X. Now I'm going to get this DHCP right here, so I'm going to skip down. You'll see it's right here in this list. So what I've done was I skipped this portion right here all the way down to this, the CD into your init D. When I do those things, I get errors while it's loading. So anyway, here's the programs I'm going to go ahead and get now. DHC PCD, Network Manager, Applet, Crony, syslogd, mlocate, bash completion, E2FS progs, some DOSFS progs, ButterFS progs, NTFS 3G, Crony, and then we'll resource the profile, and then I'll enable all of those services. But first, clear the screen, Control-Shift-V, get that bright out of there, hit enter. And again, this is going to take a little while. It's a lot of programs. Network Manager is a substantial program all by itself, so I'll be back. Just another quick note, if you pay attention to what comes in with Network Manager, you'll see a lot of the stuff that the handbook is recommending that you get for wireless connections. And right here you can clearly see it says net wireless, wireless, even WPA supplicate, such as that's going to come in. Alright. Just a note on version 29 of 33 is network WPA supplicant. So with Network Manager, I haven't had to install any other tools. Okay, so we got all those packages installed and we sourced the Xfce profile. I'm going to Control L to clear that screen. Now we're going to enable some services here. Some of them, like numlockx, have already been done. It'll just skip it. Okay. Alright, so this is those programs, software. That's the make.conf, grub. We're ready to install grub. So we're going to put this in our make.conf file, grub platform, UEFI4. Alright. Now we're going to install grub. And there we go. This will take a minute. We could actually reboot, but I'm going to add some programs and we're going to add a user. So I'm going to stop the video while this is installing here, grub. Okay, so that took a second here. Let me clear the screen. And next thing we're going to do, oops, that's what we just did. Here's what I want. Grub install. Target equals x86 underscore 64 hyphen EFI space hyphen EFI hyphen directory equals / EFI. And that finished with no errors. Now we're going to configure it. Won't take but a second. Now, like I said, you could actually reboot right now but you wouldn't have a desktop. I'm going to remove the tarball. And we're going to add a user. In this case it's me. And a password for the dentist account. There we go. Control L, clear the screen. Alright, so I'm going to source the profile one more time. I don't think you can do this too much. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and install Xorg, a prerequisite of Xfce. And I think this is like 16 stages. 15. So I'll be back. Okay, so it's about through loading Xorg. Let's look at what it installed. Libraries, Display Manager, ICE Authority, Xinit, Xserver, drivers, Xorg drivers, Xdrivers, input, library input. Okay, deselect those. Let's look at that. Server, Suin, Xserver, run News World. Okay. Now I'm going to copy this command, or echo this command, Xsession equals Xfce4. Now I must make sure it's there. Yep. Alright, so at this point I could run the update again, but I'm not. What I'm going to do is go ahead and source the profile, and then we're going to install Xfce. Alright, Control L will clear that screen. Let's see, didn't I just do this? I better do it again if I'm not sure. It won't do nothing but skip it. I don't think I did do that. Yep, now it's done. Added login D to boot run level. Okay, so here we're going to get probably some stuff to do. So we're going to install Xfce4 meta package. And it usually will come back with this. Use changes, package use, lib debus menu right there. So if I echo that and put it into package use, clear the screen. Alright, now if we run emerge Xfce again, we're going to get another error. And I want you to see this. You got some circular dependencies, but it might be possible to break this cycle by applying any of the following changes. Change use to minimal or no pulse audio. Well, I'm going to use pulse audio, so that's not going to happen. So the command is capital USE, use equals, clear the screen, use equals, and then double quotes, minimal flag, emerge, quiet, Xfce meta. Now this will be 60 some odd packages. 67. So this will take a minute. But we're about through. I got some programs I want to install before I reboot, like sudo, the whisker menu, the stuff I need for audio. Then we'll reboot into the desktop. So right here's where we're at now. Now I am not going to, the book tells you to edit your .xedit.rc and put exec start Xfce4 in there, and every time I do that, every time I have done that, I've seemed to have had a, let me back up, every time I've had a problem with starting X, it's been after I did this. So I started skipping this, and I've yet had the problem of that not working. Okay, I'm going to stop the video. I'll be back 67 stages later. Okay, so we got some news to read here. Two items, LVM, and some audio stuff. Alright, so we just installed Xfce. I'm gonna make sure, I know this is already in here, but it won't hurt to run it again just to verify. Already exists. Control L will clear that screen. Now, like I said, at this point we could exit Chroot and reboot into our system, but I'm gonna go ahead and get a couple programs that I know I'm gonna need in advance. I'll read those. It's sudo pulse audio, payboot control, pulse audio plugin, whisker menu, and the net load plugin. This usually don't take very long. And also, before you reboot, you should probably run the update. So I'll probably do that, and then unmount and reboot. So this is going to take a few minutes. There's several programs. I'm going to pause the video. Okay, so that didn't take long. Let me Control L, clear the screen, and I'm going to source the profile one more time. Alright, now, before we do the update, I'm going to go into right here. And just triple check that that X session Xfce is in there. Control X to get me out. Now, you could, like I said, you could reboot right now, but you'll have to do this anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and get this done. This is emate-a space sync and then emerge, and this is the shortcut version of update the world. And this is probably will take a minute, but as soon as it's through, now it's going to run through all the files and sync them through emate. But as soon as it's through, then I will exit and unmount and reboot. Okay, so this is that first world update. There's 23 packages, 17 new, 6 reinstalls. I'm going to start that. And this will probably take a minute. Okay, so that got done. Let me Control L, clear the screen. Now it's time to exit. CD. And for me, it's just easier to copy and paste this. And then you mount capital R for recursive. Alright. Now at this point, I'm going to exit again, and now I'm back on the live CD. So I'm going to plug in my USB drive again, and when I get through here, I'm just going to power off. So this LSBLK. So there's my SDCA. So SDC. So sudo mount device SDC1 to home Gentoo USB. Did I spell all that right? I think so. Oh, what does that mean? It don't exist. It's right there. Let me try it again. Different method. Sudo. Here's what I gotta do. Now I can do all that. So that's root, home, Gentoo, documents, UEFI install, copy, home, oops, Gentoo, USB, paste one file, overwrite the one that was there because I did make changes. Alright, up arrow that back, say U mount. Alright, said it's not mounted, I'm just going to unplug it. And I'm going to reboot. And wait for the USB drive to quit flashing and pull it out, like right now. And start X into the Xfce desktop. Let's see, Grub, come on. Uh-oh. There's Grub. Just took a minute. I love the Plymouth screen. Starting the network manager. Alright, we're going to log in. And I'm going to start X. Looking promising. And there we go. There's our Xfce desktop. And we have audio because I installed Payboot control. There we go. That's the Xfce desktop. And it's already got the whisker menu sitting there for me. So I'm going to shut down. That's it. That's the Gentoo install.